it is very clear that the world has changed. Correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm not. It's changed and it's become kind of crazy. And there are some people that are fighting against the craziness. So coming up next, we have Experiential Outlaws, when events became illegal. Whoa. So our lovely partners, Founder Made, will be hosting a panel on Experiential Outlaws, gatherings of groups larger than your average family unit have been. But this crew of crafty event mavens have been able to adapt and operate outside of the law, learn how they use what they had available to continue to grow and engage communities that reach far and wide but stay close. Introducing Michelle Finizio with Founder Made, Jelena Saliu of the Launder Dress, sorry I screwed that up, Katie Hunt of Showfields, and Alexandra Fine of Dame Products. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm sorry once again if I messed up any of your names, but thank you once again for being here. My time is done. Guys, enjoy. Thank you so much.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for the kind intro. So what was cool about today actually is that Jelena and I realized that we were in the same place in New York City. So we decided to come together, talk about building community. You know, there are those rare moments, especially right now, where we can come together and doing it in the same way, of course. But this whole panel is about when events become illegal. I particularly can relate to this. I'm sure we all can. But being that I am in an events industry and our job is to do large scale events, it's been a unique and reflective time to stay close to our mission. Thank you so much for being here, Katie Hunt, CRO and co-founder of Showfields, Alexandra Fine, CEO of Dame Products, and Jelena, CEO of The Laundress. Ladies, I think you can take off your mutes now too.
Hi guys, thanks for having us.
Yes, this panel makes me so happy. You all inspire me so much. So would love to actually take a second and go around, and would love for you to introduce yourselves, tell us what you do and a bit about your mission. Katie, do you want to start?
Sure, I'm Katie Hunt. I'm the co-founder and chief revenue officer for Showfields. We call ourselves the most interesting store in the world, not because we're interesting, but because we showcase at any given time up to 40 different emerging brands and artists from all over the world. And right now we're actually just launching our second location, which will be in Miami, and going over into this whole new world of digital. So it's been really fun.
Congratulations. Alexandra, can you tell us about your background and Dame?
Sure. So hi, I'm Alexandra. I'm the CEO of Dame Products. We are a sexual wellness brand. So we really believe that pleasure is fundamental to living a healthy life. My background before starting this business, we mostly make vibrators.
Snaps.
Yeah. Before doing this, I actually have my master's in clinical psychology, so I wanted to be a sex therapist for a long time, or a marriage counselor. But I'm quite impatient, which turns out is not great for therapy, but great for entrepreneurialism. So that is what's brought me here. We're all kind of disappearing into our.
Oh yeah. Yes, it's the perfect moment of having to stay close, not too close, not too far. It's great. Jelena, last but not least, only because you're right here with me. Tell us about your background and The Laundress.
So I'm Jelena, I'm the CEO of The Laundress. At The Laundress, we empower care through our amazing solutions for fabric care. I've been part of the Laundress brand for over 12 years, and my job has changed over the past 12 years, and today I would say I'm mostly the gatekeeper for the values as well as the mission.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for introducing ourselves. I think it's important to contextualize everyone's background so we know where all the angles are coming from. And it is so interesting because I know all of you personally, or we work together through our shows, and you're all about community. And so that's why we pulled you into this. And I'd love to know, on the notion of community and building, I would love to go around and contextualize who your target community is, like who's that target customer, who's your loyal fan base. Jolena, do you want to start? I know we wrapped with you, but let's let you kick off.
Sure. So our community is pretty big. We always our thought process at the laundress is we're friends with everyone, and we're for everyone because everyone has dirty laundry. So the community is pretty big. In terms of our customer, we are a global brand, so our customer is anywhere between US all the way to Asia, as well as other continents. And where we have been striving a lot this past year was really through our D2C channel. We've always empowered care through the D2C channel, and we did it yet again through COVID, as well as now going into the holiday season.
Thanks for that. And then Alexandra, I would imagine it's so wide ranging. It's such a unique and interesting topic, especially now more than ever.
Yeah, most people are excited about sexual pleasure. So again, we do have a really wide range in our consumers. I would say our real fan base is around 30 to 45-year-old couples. Definitely, I think people are often surprised to hear that 35% of our community is men. People who, it's like big gift giving products. We also do a lot of content and education that's centered on the couple. So yeah, it is, again, it's diversity. And we sell through retail stores as well, but mostly through our website. And I'm definitely excited to talk more about creating community and intimacy during this time and how intimacy has been impacted.
Totally. And Katie, tell us everything.
Yeah, so we believe that the future of retail is c-commerce or consumer commerce. And one of the tenets of that is really curation. So we actually are a very, very data-driven company, and we take all the data of the neighborhood wherever we're building a store, and we curate directly for that consumer. So if you think about our 11 Bond Street location, which is in NoHo in New York City.
And gorgeous, and has the slide.
Yes, we have a slide from the third floor to the second floor. But if you think about what's around there and what people are doing normally in that neighborhood, you've got Rumble and SoulCycle and Equinox. It's a very wellness focused group that is in that area. And you also have a work population that's young and vibrant and working in industries such as advertising and startups. So what we curate at our 11 Bond location is really aimed at majority female, ages 24 to 36. As we go into the Miami location, our age range actually extends. It will go from 18 to 40 on Lincoln Road, and it will be 50% male and 50% female. So I've had a fantastic time starting to curate for our male customer in Miami, seeing all these new amazing brands out there.
Super interesting, right? Like you have some overlapping customers. You're obviously having very different conversations. And this conversation at large, the whole point of us coming together is how do we touch that individual target customer? How do we keep reinforcing our mission right now too? Like there's so much content. This is content, right? Like we're just another piece of content right now floating in the universe of all the people just trying to reach out and stay connected. And by nature, we are pack driven, right? And we crave that connection. So I'd love to know, individually also across each one of you, like what the journey's been. Now, there's been so many unexpected moments, right? So what's been unexpected that you've had to take on to stay true to your mission and stay true to your core community? Katie, do you want to start?
Sure. So, being in physical retail in March was a lot less fun than it was before, right? Especially in New York City. So we closed our doors on March 15th, and we were a retail company. We're retail as a service. We had a beautiful location. We were just about to open Miami at that time, and we sat down as a team that first day after we closed the doors, and we said, okay, so we're c-commerce and we're retail as a service, and we're all about experiences and seen through the consumer's lens. How do we reimagine e-commerce? And how do we do that through the lens of e-commerce? And we ended up 3 weeks later launching live video shopping, which I mean, I have to be incredibly grateful to having a team of like the best people around me who just were like, we can do this, and worked very, very, very long hours and took on new jobs. But yeah, we launched live video shopping. We onboarded over 100 new brands in the last few months. And we have tastemakers and artists from around the globe who literally go live from their phone on our website. And the videos are completely shoppable. So they talk about art, they talk about products, but they talk about things based on the mission of those brands. So you'll have someone do a vegan beauty, like all different vegan beauty products. You'll have someone cook an entire like healthy, sustainable meal in their kitchen using all clean cookware. But it's all about the story, because our store is about the story, and we brought that storytelling to a different medium.
Super interesting. I mean, I love, we're going to definitely dig into the shoppable content later, because you guys are doing such a great job, and I'd love to dig into that a bit more, because I think it's very interesting. But Julina, I mean, for you, you're in retail. I've been to your store. It's beautiful. What have you done to have to like dig deep on mission? Because there's also a time, this is a funky time. I mean, you happen to be in hygiene, which is great, but like a funky time where you really have to look back and be like, how do I forge on, and how do I, again, like do things that are organic to me and my mission? So what is that?
Yeah, so we actually did the same thing. We looked into the community. 35% of our customer base is in D2C, and the remainder, it's all international as well as wholesalers throughout the US. So for the wholesalers throughout the US, as those orders are being canceled and the Nordstroms are closing down and the Bloomingdale's, etc., we looked into the community. We said, okay, buyers, we understand that you're closing down, but how about if we actually teach you how-to tutorials, so we do it on your social platforms? So you had the co-founders, both Gwen and Lindsay, really be in all of these social platforms that we could never dream of being in there before, because everyone would talk about fashion. All of a sudden, we're inserted in, and we're actually given a solution on how to better take care of your clothing. So we went to the beginning where it's like, we're going to continue to provide services for you, but we're going to do it in a different way. And then the other piece was really partnering up with all of our supply chain to ensure that everyone is so focused into like, how do you continue the sales? But something that really needs to be pointed out is the supply chain, ensuring that all of our manufacturers are well and ensuring that they can actually provide on-time delivery. So we partner with them as well. And then the third component is we went into Juice Press, my favorite story. Juice Press is all about retail. They started delivering groceries and were like, hey, you can deliver our detergent too. So we partnered up with some amazing brands that could never carry the launders before, but they were carrying it because they had the supply chain. So it was a lot of agility, a lot of innovation, and just a lot of community building. Like, we can call each other up at any time and run an idea and just run with it.
That's awesome. And then Alexandra, I mean, sexual wellness, we all are dying to know. So I don't want to say I saved the best for last, because we got an A team over here, but let's go.
No, I love my laundress product so much.
So do I. I have the John Mayer smell.
Well, for us, it's interesting. Like it was when you phrased the question. Like, actually, like, out of all the things, like, COVID hasn't been the biggest hiccup that made us really question what we've been doing. We've had so many other challenges that make me feel like an outlaw that we could go into. But since March, we've seen a real increase in sales. Even if we definitely sell in retail stores, and a lot of them just completely shut down. But we are at the intersection of at-home entertainment and wellness, and a nice replacement maybe for a dinner date. So we definitely saw a real increase in conversion rate and traffic, which is really fantastic. It feels so good to be able to provide something to people right now that makes them feel good in their bodies and feel closer in some way. And yeah, we've also leveraged our community and the online brands that we work with to partner more. We launched online workshops, which have been really fun and entertaining, and we're looking at expanding those. It's been, to be honest, it's actually so much of what we've been trying to do, and now we have even more of an educational component, and we're really proud to be offering that and to grow it.
Actually, I want to stay on you because I read an article about you, and I actually recently had a call with this brand Coral, who you were named in an article with, and they've done a great job on content and doing these workshops and bringing experts. So how are you partnering with, more community-based organizations? I mean, and for those of you who don't know about Coral, Coral is an incredible sexual wellness app. It's very content and education centric. They're not doing physical products like you are, Alexandra. But how are you, coming together with people that are tangentially in your field, and what does that really look like?
Yeah, so we have a really awesome list of sex therapists, of somatic body practitioners, and to even like pelvic floor specialists who will come on. So there's like a real wide range of topics that touch on sexuality. In fact, I even personally want to do a finance one, a little bit because I'm a nerd, but because I think money and sex are incredibly related in this way we don't like to talk about.
Let us know about
that. There's so many different topics that we can touch on, and we'll just find, amazing experts. We also spend a lot of time just in the sex therapy world, so we just happen to have a really robust list there. We'll reach out to people and kind of figure out something that feels like our consumer base will really enjoy and that they are experts in and can speak to. And we really do try to both bring in their community and our community, because it's a moment for partnership, and then also to expand our voice. So it's been really great. And it's also been great for the practitioners because they're finding new clients from it. So there's kind of like this win-win for both of us. And I'm excited to see us do that more with the brands. Like we've been working with like WellSet, which is a app in LA that works with a bunch of different healers and practitioners. And we've been able to take our educational content and reuse it to provide courses for their community.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, I mean, it's like, and Katie, this is going to be a great plug for us because Katie talks to brands all day long, brands like The Laundress, brands like Dame. We're exploring ways that we can co-market because we're both talking to the same end customer, right? Mm-hmm. And to be able to co-market together to build your audience that on, in a relevant union is really awesome and interesting. And we're exploring the ways that we can help brands like the two of you come into Showfields as a space, and what could that collaboration be, being that you're so customer or general consumer centric, Katie, and then we're all B2B. We're helping brands connect to distribution and financing, et cetera, right? But I'm curious to know, Julina, for you, are you doing the same thing? Are you finding yourself leaning into those co-marketing opportunities to expand your community? Yeah. What's been really successful?
We've been pioneering the co-branded since the beginning, since 15 years ago when the brand was founded. Our most amazing collaboration back in the day was with J. Crew. And since then, we've done a lot of collaborations with Fine Cashmere, actual Brooklinen, and we really tap into those collaborations because A, we can be friends with anyone, but B, we're able to really bring our know-how expertise into their product, and with our know-how expertise into their product, we're able to deliver a solution for whatever they're selling. And then in turn, we get a more, I call them eyeballs, I'm very straight to the point. In turn, we get more eyeballs into our site and really get brand awareness. So these partnerships are a brand pillar as we go into year 15 and 16. And even when we look into the future as almost 2025, they're going to be part of it. And it's because that's how you build the community. That's how you make your brand awareness into different places.
Mm-hmm. It's actually really interesting because I just read the stat where the stat said, this is a period that has eclipsed the last 5 years of online adoption, or, you know, leaning into digital. You might have had people who were not online before, and a lot of that community, it's their first time where they even have done a transaction online. Like, that's an incredibly compelling fact. And I'm curious to know, now that you have so many more people online, what that's looked like for you. How are you riding that wave? Like, what is that? And, you know, how can brands who are listening in capitalize on that? Alexandra, do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I do think kind of to what everybody has been saying, it's really about finding things that are actually valuable and interesting to your consumers, that are in line with, you know, your mission. And provide, you know, I don't know, providing them just with things that are meaningful, because there's just so much content out there right now. There's so much online to do. So providing something that's really going to bring value to their lives, I think is really important. Yeah, and I'm just like so amazed by human adaptability right now. Just hearing everybody and like just how quickly people have been able to change is just really blows me away. Yeah, so.
Yeah, well, Katie, do you want to, I'd love to hear your perspective too. I mean, you're hitting it from a totally different angle. So I'd love to know.
I think the adoption rate of e-commerce and purchasing online is absolutely fascinating. I mean, I look at COVID and what it's done to the market, both on retail and e-commerce, and traditional retail and e-commerce. And it was an accelerant, right? I think we sped up the clock 5 years, and here we are. And so people that were kind of working towards and in mind of what 5 years from now is going to look like, we're pretty well set up to, you know, facilitate to that audience. But there have been people that were maybe not as, you know, ready to adapt to a new world. But what I find fascinating is now, if you think about the consumer who's going to come out on the other side of COVID, having, you know, become much more used to purchasing digitally, to having curbside pickup, to having delivery, to having no contact delivery, their expectations around the physical world are also going to shift. And so what you'll find is a bunch of new technologies and spaces, and even in the restaurant industry, that people will begin to blend the convenience and all the assets of digital into a physical world much more rapidly. Like for us, we launched this crazy app now that our store is back open, called the Magic Wand. And it allows people to go through the entire experience of Showfield, ask questions, find out about each of the brands, do an audio tour, shop, and then literally pick up their bag on the way out without interacting with another person if they don't want to. And for us, the reason why it's valuable is clearly people want to social distance right now, but they still want to be able to go through experiences, look at art, look at brands, shop. I miss shopping, right? But, you know, at the same time, you know, they want that convenience, and they want that digital like gratification of it being really easy. So, you know, that piece of technology allows us to do that and to keep our team really safe, which is our most important thing.
I just want to quickly say that the Magic Wand is a very famous vibrator too, from which I think is very funny that is what they named the product. I'll have to reach out to them, you know, for a collaboration.
I love it.
There's your sexual wellness expert right there in the house. Yeah.
That's a great name. I love
it. Google searches just went up for Magic Wand. Julina, what about you? So
both Katie and Alexandra touched on very good points. From our point of view at the laundress is, yes, it's true. There's a lot of content. Our site has a lot of content. It's 15 years old. It has how-tos on literally every stain guide you could possibly think of, right? So what we're trying to do now to really touch with that customer is, besides providing solutions to us, what's important, and to everyone that's listening, is turning that customer into a subscriber. turning that customer into like, they're only going to touch the subscribe now button once, and their auto delivery comes in. So whether it's in your wellness space or whether it's in your retailer space, whether it's that, you know, unboxing experience, or whether it is a stain guide, or whether it is a woolen cashmere shampoo that it's going to only be delivered to you in the fall and in spring when you're doing your storing away of your cashmere. That's where I see this going. You know, there is a lot of content, but how do you captivate that audience to basically come to your site and become a member, become a subscriber? And obviously, you know, we can go into the finance piece of it. We all know that subscribing and having subscribers and having those returned orders to us are very important from a point of view of supply chain all the way to the lifetime value of the customer.
Super thoughtful around subscription. I think it's also really interesting, the thoughtfulness around timing when products come when, you know, and like on that point, and like that takes a lot of logistics. There's a ton of plugins actually that support that. And just at a tool level, right? There's a lot of tools that are actually supporting the engagement from our community, whether it's them being able to take new surveys, or whether it's them being able to chat you and text message you, and they're maybe converting from social. Like, I'm curious to know what's helping support that at a tech level, at a logistics level, right? Because that's what we got right now. Like, we have to use what's available.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We're at the laundress. We started a program with Order Groove. They've been phenomenal in terms of really from end to end, where they really are able to collect all the orders. So if someone subscribes and saves to too many items, that they're able to consolidate that cart. And like, if you're subscribing to 5 items, you can have all those 5 items shipped to you in one box versus 4 boxes. So sustainability is a component. And then obviously all of the boring stuff, which is like ensuring that the customer data is perfectly being stored, ensuring that they're following the guidelines, and all the way to really allowing you to then forecast for the future. So when you're going in and you're making decisions on what 2021, 2022, 2023 looks like, to that data as well. And it's been quite phenomenal. People love it. They don't want to be bothered, you know, contactless delivery. They don't even want to think about ordering something. They just want it to magically appear in their doorstep, you know, that magical wand.
Magical wand, right?
There you go.
And
algorithmic retail. I mean,
Yeah,
algorithmic
totally.
retail is the big new, like, hot topic that everybody's chatting about.
Right. Yeah. And I want to like stay consistent and keep like tie all these pieces back into community, because that is what this conversation is about. Like, how is this supporting the person that helped you build your business, right? And that core community. So what tools and what are you finding even your community reacting best to keep them really engaged? Katie, go ahead.
I mean, for us, we've seen a huge adoption to the art shows. So people love to see curators from all around the world talk about who the most cool and up and coming artists are. And we've also had a lot of traction around give back based art programming. So we've raised over $25,000 for different charities through these incredible art auctions where people go live, and we have curators from like the Brooklyn Museum, and they're talking, and they've picked 12 pieces. And sometimes before we even hit the go live button, half of that art is already sold, because these are people who are out there every day looking at new emerging artists. And the thing I think, like, why is that interesting to a consumer, and why is that different? And I think it's just, we all feel like we want to do something right now that's positive, that brings something good and brings joy into someone else's life, but also joy into our home. And so a piece of art and in a, you know, charity-based auction kind of allows for a consumer to have 30 minutes where they can sit back and hear someone say something and give a talk that's super interesting, and have an action that they have a joyful, like, immediate reaction to. So I think that's the equation that we've found works. And as we, go into sort of cooking shows and yoga classes, like it's always trying to think about what sparks joy for the consumer, what is actually valuable to them because there is so much content out there, and what is not being done. And I think those are the important questions to ask yourself. If you're a company, don't just go out there and create a bunch of content just to create content. It'll take time away from your team and it will not be worth it. Like, you have to think about like the end consumer and what they really need right now.
Alexandra, I want to get to you, but I want to insert this point because I talked to a brand, the brand's a perfume brand, and she's like, look, how do people smell something if they can't be smelling it, right? I mean, they're sitting in their homes. And so she actually did a virtual event where, and I mean, there's so many going on. So this one stood out really. And she goes, we actually integrated and matched musical tones to scents. And we did a concert to actually recreate different scent profiles within our notes, right? And it was so cool. I mean, I was just, and she also did energy and chakra readings to actually map the scent beyond the tones, but map the chakra, like what her readings were back into a scent. So talk about a unique experience. I mean, and this is on a, by the way, impromptu Friday call, right? But she just jumped in, captivated me. Now here I am talking to over 6,000 people, or however many people are online about this experience, right? So what unique experiences, Alexandra, this I'm super curious about for you, especially in your category, like what are you doing that stands out, that is different, that's like a little bit, off the beaten path?
I don't know. We're definitely not doing anything that unique. That seems really cool and different. Really, like, I think our workshops have been really effective, and we're always holding space too to try to have like conversations. Like, I think something that we really care about is not just trying to do like we're talking at you, but really engaging our consumers so they're having a conversation with us. We've had a Facebook group for quite some time. And that has been such a powerful space to really converse and listen to our consumers and have a two-way conversation with them. And yeah, I mean, the brand has always started with our community first. We have something called Dame Labs, where if you want to be a vibrator tester and participate in the survey and the product development experience, you can. And kind of from there, that's really where we've developed our community, is out from the product testers, the people who really want to engage in what we're creating. So yeah, we're still doing those things. It's definitely been harder to get samples out and to just make physical products right now. But we're still been able to do it. We're getting back moving, and yeah, we've had some really great workshops as well.
Maybe there's an integration. I just thought of like music, right? Like there's literally sex playlists that are, right? People do that. Yeah, so yeah. I think there might be an opportunity there, but I'm actually curious. There's something in that whole little mix. But that being said, I'm curious actually from you, Alexandra, too. Vibrators can be a total shy buy, right? And people are doing them, maybe they're dropping into the store and or if they're ordering something online, like they're hoping that the packaging is not obvious. Who knows who's gonna see it, etc. So I'm curious if now that people are behind screens, if you're finding that people are more willing to come forward and bring their authentic selves and be more vulnerable, and what that kind of looks like now that we, are building community, but virtually.
I mean, like literally just even conversion rate throughout the day. So I would say normally people, like if we were to send out an email to try and engage consumers in the middle of a workday, people aren't going to click on it. Or if they do click on it, they might realize that's not the screen they want open while they're at work. Now, everybody's working from home. So I do feel like that for us gives people so much more freedom to engage with us at whatever time they want to engage and learn. So if you want to learn more about UTIs and how, how they're related to sexuality, or like that might have been more challenging to do during the middle of the day. And now I think there's a lot more privacy and freedom for people to do it. So that has definitely been a change that we've seen across the board in our digital marketing, including like just the effectiveness of our advertisements at different times of the day and things like that. So yeah, I do think that like in some ways we're having a whole lot more intimacy right now. We are so much more, I think a lot of people feel a lot safer. I think that there in some ways you can kind of explore more in the bounds of your home than maybe you could before. So I think that that's definitely been benefiting us and making it easier to have those intimate conversations. But we still have discreet shipping and all of that is true.
Like this is actually the laundry. This is actually laundry detergent.
Yeah, exactly. You just put the laundress on the box.
Right. Actually, on the notion of like being home, right? Everyone's with their families, their friends, and you know, it's actually really interesting. Another like good stat was that 92% of people trust recommendations and will make purchasing decisions based on recommendations from their friends and family, right? So on that note, how do you pull friends and family into the conversation? Is there kind of mechanisms to expand your community within that, you know, that understanding of how people make those decisions? Juliana, I'm curious what it is for you.
Yeah, so to us, the customer is really the household. It's bigger than he or she or them. It's the household. So when we think of the community and the household, we during COVID, we looked at two different angles. Angle number one was really the zen in cleaning. So everyone is at home, everyone is going through this phase where they're on email from 6 a.m. to like probably midnight because they can, you lose track of time when you're at home. And how can we help our households really turn off, close the computer screen and go back from maybe wiping your desk and then cooking something and kind of go and ease into the evening. So we started, most of our content really revolved around that, the zen of cleaning, using cleaning as a way to transition from day to night. And then the second piece that we did, which was quite interesting, is we launched a series called Let's Work. And at the Let's Work series, which is still going, we went through the household lenses, but a little differently. We said, okay, what typically happens during these times? Typically during these times, a lot of people start businesses, whether it's a soap business, making your own soap in the kitchen, because all of a sudden you're not at work 9 to 5. Maybe you're not clicking at the email, but your brain is thinking, you're like, oh, maybe I can have my own idea because you're not commuting all this free time you have. So people are starting business. So with the Let's Work series, we brought in amazing speakers once a week on Friday from 12 to 1, where actual people signed up and they got into groups and they asked questions and the speakers spoke about their journey into starting the business. And that's how we approach that household conversation. And these are conversations that we're all having in the kitchen table, whether you're talking to your husband or your wife or your partner about like, okay, where do we go from now? Some people were laid off. Some people were not laid off. Some people were working really, really hard. Where do we go from now? And that's how we like long-term, that's how we saw it. And it's been very humbling, the overall experience. People from all over the country tuning in and asking the questions. And then all of a sudden, there's this bigger community that they've built because they're tuning in every series. And then they became friends. And maybe one is from Peabody, Kansas, another one is from Michigan, but they're all tuning in and they're growing the community bigger and bigger.
That, I mean, unexpected friendships, right? Katie, what has it been for you? I mean, you guys are so at the forefront, so cutting edge. I'm curious how you're pulling in friends, family. I mean,
for us, it's actually like by telling good stories. So we curate the most mission-driven, innovative, well-made brands. So like we say it's the most interesting, but by having kind of these taglines around the most interesting laundry detergent and explaining why it's so interesting, that it's changing the industry in terms of it being better for you and better for all. we actually find that people are more likely to talk about those products in those terms when they purchase them. So we ran a survey a couple of weeks ago, and we said, how often are you likely to recommend a product that you bought at Showfields based on their mission? And 89% of our customers said that's how they talk about the products. So for us, I think it's actually creating kind of this viral line around each of the brands that we work with, because they're all mission driven. Literally every single one of our companies is either a B Corp or sustainable, or, you know, it's a small business that is giving back. And so, you know, that's been our hook. And it's my favorite thing in the world when I'm in the store and I hear someone learn about a brand for the first time, and then their friend walks up and says, oh, hey, what's this one? And you hear them be like, oh, it's the most interesting laundry detergent in the world. And you're like, yes. Do it.
Talk something great.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's actually, staying on that topic of friends and family, I actually heard, and bridging back on even tools, there is a tool called the Squatted Shopping Party. I obscurely came across this, but you should definitely look it up. And it's a social platform that enables users to shop online with friends using a browser extension. So it's like capitalizing on the fact that people, like, the world knows that people make decisions that way, right? And that's why you buy things that influencers tell you to get, because it feels like your friend or family or something, you know, you feel really close even though you've never maybe met this person. But it's like super interesting.
That's awesome.
And on that note of getting those recommendations from people that you feel that like closeness with, even if they are a figure that you just kind of engaged with online, I'm curious to know how you're partnering with influencers and integrating like social and leveraging that platform to then both, of course, reinforce community, but also drive purchasing decisions.
Yeah, I think one of our, oh, sorry.
No, please. Actually, I mean, would love to hear how you guys are doing this.
Our hosts are all different tastemakers. So they have a huge following of people that love to hear about their products or the art or, you know, whatever's interesting to them. And that's how we've leveraged that part of our community. You have, you know, Delana Suarez go live and talk about 12 sustainable fashion brands, and her following, you know, trusts her, and she picked the brands. We send a list and we talk about why each company is valuable and why supporting them during this time is valuable. Because each of those brands actually keeps 100% of their revenue and their sales. And we actually didn't charge any brands for the first 3 months of COVID for eCom, because we just wanted to make sure that everybody was surviving and was okay. And so like she would go live and tell her, you know, audience to come to the show, and they would come to the show and they trust her. And I think a trust factor is a huge thing, and it can't be faked. Like, you can't give 12 products to someone where they don't know anything about them and have them go live. They don't sell. You have to have someone who actually genuinely cares about what they're talking about and brings that to the field.
Super interesting. I mean, you guys are also passionate, and it like drips through literally through the screen. And so I'm curious, because authenticity is so important, and authenticity can come in the form of vulnerability. And to me, I mean, even seeing stores who are really, they're like, I've never listed this sign, we've stayed open during every holiday, but we need your help, right? I'm curious how that's come up for you. Jolena, I'd love to hear from you, how that's come up for you, if you've had to lean into or you know, open up in different ways that you didn't expect before.
Yeah, so what during as COVID, so in the month of March and April, even though we were fortunate enough to be in the cleaning industry and everyone was basically, those are the things that everyone was buying all day and all night because there was some deficiencies in supply chain, we kind of flipped it on its head a little bit from the model. We went back to the team and said, all right, the numbers are great. What else do you want to do? So together we determined that we really wanted to use the audience that we had and use our community and use our customers to raise money. So we raised money for all of the frontline workers, and it was a clear message. It was for this particular time period, we're going to give our proceeds, and this is what we're doing. And that was a decision that we made as a team, but we also informed the community that this is where we stand. And then kind of going back to shortly after that was completed, then we went into the next phase, which is Black Lives Matter, and the same thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
We said, you know what, we're not gonna be posting ads, we're not gonna be doing anything. We're okay, but what do you guys want? To the team, and the team immediately said, we want to raise money for the causes that are important to us. And same thing, we went back to the community and said, this is what we're doing, can you help us? And everyone started purchasing more, and we use those proceeds again to make our donations. So even in times where maybe your industry is not suffering, but it's doing really well because you're fortunate to be in a specific industry, even in those times, we opened up the hood and we said, what more can we do? Because this is not enough. And yeah, and I can't wait to hear what the team wants to bring for Q4, which we're thinking through now.
And this is how they get the tagline, the most interesting laundry company in the world.
Yes,
This is not your Tide. No, we love you, Tide, but yeah. Alexandra, let's go. I'd love to hear from you.
I mean, we did a really similar thing. It just really felt like, I think for a lot of this spring, summer, just putting ourselves first just didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up raising some money for the food banks. And we also, during June, which is also Pride Month, so we kind of had all of these initiatives set up to celebrate different LGBT communities and donate there. And we wanted to make sure that they were all intersectional. So it was kind of just weaving in the stories and what was on everybody's mind to also still stay true to like what we can bring and the extra focus that we can bring, which is towards, the way sexuality and race intersect each other, which is, I think, really fascinating. We've donated over $10,000 this year, which for us, feels really great. Yeah, so I think that's really what we've been able to focus on and bring to the world during this time, which is just putting the issues first, taking a back seat, a lot of listening and learning, and just trying to be with people, because I think for us, like, so much of what we do is about like cultivating compassion and empathy and partnership. And, right now it was just about being a good partner to our customers in the world, more than like just taking the spotlight for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, it's actually,
I think also our influencers, it was exactly the same thing as somebody else said, which is like all of our workshop leads also, they are our influencers.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So that's kind of how we try to work with them, is we want to have authentic partnerships where we're not just paying them, we're sending them free stuff to talk about it, but hey, what are your goals? What are you trying to do in the world? And how can we align that to both like have a real partnership? And I think so much just about authenticity. I think there's been so many brands that have let us down over the past few years on what it really means to be authentic. And I think it's really important to make sure our outward persona is also our inward persona. So we just really put our internal community first often. We want to make sure that we're not just making the world a pleasurable place, but we want to make work a pleasurable place too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is so phenomenal. It's like we at the laundress, we see our customer at first within our office. So our employees, like they're our customer. We need to give them what they want more. Once we realize that, then we go into like basically the customer base.
Right. Actually, on that note, because some of your like lowest following people can actually be your biggest ambassadors, right? It's not
Mhm.
necessarily the traditional model of like influencer. I went to a Heineken factory and here I am, like every time I'm at the bar, I ordered Heineken, I heard the story, I went through an experience, I feel engaged, right? And so I would imagine you giving back to the LGBT community, the Black community. They might have 200 followers, but you know what? They're in there when they're sitting at the bar, when they're sitting in their kitchen table, when they're sitting and having lunch, talking to their friend, they'll be like, you know, what was really cool? Have you heard of this brand Dame? Like they're awesome. And they actually showed up and they hosted this really cool, or they sampled, or they did, you know, and I got to connect with the founder. And it's all those little micro moments of showing up and giving back and all that stuff pays dividends. Like you can't even measure it. You can't even measure it. You have no idea. So it's like it goes back to the like basic level. Like what you put out is what you get back all day, day in, day out. So just keep giving. Even today, you know, it's Alexandra. I appreciate like you know, for us, 10K is a lot. It's whatever is available to you, right? But you will get it back.
Yeah.
And
my first job was customer service at Warby Parker. And I learned very quickly that actually the people that you can turn into your biggest supporters are the people that usually have the largest complaint. And it's on the team to really
it's so true.
So true.
So true. Yes, I have definitely had that. So we got some questions from our Q&A, and I am going to run through a couple and see what we have time left for. But one, it said, how do you think the world will handle reopening up and bringing experiential back in person? Katie, would love to hear. I mean, you
we're doing it.
.com. Yeah, let's hear about it. I know you're doing a great job integrating too.
For us, it's about time slots. So we used to get, you know, 30,000 plus people a month. We'd have lines out the door. And for us, it's not about that now. It's about, you know, having a plus experience for less people. But in doing that, actually, we're seeing 3x the conversion rate that we had before COVID. So the people coming through are really having a very elevated experience with us, which there's a lot to be learned on from that, both on the e-commerce and physical side. But I think clearly experiences won't be as hands-on to begin with. They will be much more auditory. They will be much more tailored, but they're happening. They're coming back. You know, we're working with some huge brands for holiday, including Johnny Walker and Perrier and American Express and Polaroid. And instead of them sort of creating these big kind of photographable, immersive moments, they actually built really mission-driven moments. So American Express is curating 20 Black-owned businesses in the store for holiday. You know, Polaroid is working with us to get people registered to vote. And I think that's the future. It's not just that the experiences will be much more auditory. They will be mission-driven, and thank God.
Yeah.
Super. I love that you're integrating even voting. I mean, I'm seeing that so much, right? Even like Uber, I think when I'm downloading, I have the opportunity to register to vote. So I totally appreciate that. It's like service plus or brand plus. On that note, are there aspects of the face-to-face experience that you feel cannot be replaced online? I'd love to know this from Alexandra, only because, I mean, doing a physical product, especially in sexual wellness space, I'd love to know your perspective.
I mean, so like, you know, direct to consumer has been 70+% of my business from day one. And I do think that there is always an element of touch and feel that, you know, you really just can't get online, which is unfortunate. But through content and language and good marketing, you can help people understand what their experience is going to be like, what this product might feel like when they feel it. So we've kind of been doing that aspect for a long time. And I do feel like, you know, people are craving experiences in a way that is really beautiful. I mean, there's just so much value. And I think people are going to really see that now and really I mean, I think that we're going to have to bring it back slowly, but if we didn't, people would like be rushing to stores and rushing to events, and they would be packed right now because so many people just really want to have those normal experiences. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see that in the realm of intimacy and just human connection and what people are seeking. But yeah.
We're planning a store opening at the laundress. So we have the our Soho store was closed since March. We wanted to make sure that our employees were safe. But now that we've learned a little bit more about what this is, and we also heard from our community, like literally all of the apartment buildings in Prince Street, they're all like, where are you? I want to come to the store. So now that we have the community behind us, and we also know a little bit more, we're doing the opening. It's not going to be 7 days. It's going to be 6 days. It's not going to be full hours. It's going to be probably about 75%. But we wanted to, it's not just for the customers, it's also for the employees. Like these employees have been selling online, doing social media, online sales since March. Like they want to be, they want to be in front of someone safely, but they want to like go on, get out and go on with their day the way that they used to, again, in a safe manner.
Because all those experiences feed back too, to be like going to Founder Made and going to trade shows and speaking to our consumers help us make better marketing material, because we hear their questions, we hear the way, we just can see their face and how they respond to what we're saying, and then we could take that in and like, I miss that so very much.
We are doing live events next year, just saying, so you know, you can do that again sometime soon. But Showfields, I mean, and Jelena, you can go have the live experience. To that point, you know, I'll just comment quickly on Founder Made. Everything we built because it was an echo to what was being said to us. And I had a call even this morning, and it was every time, no matter how long the customer has been with us, I'm like, you know the drill, you know I'm going to ask about your experience, and I'm going to ask what you want to see next, what you're seeing in market that's really added value to you, and what you think we can incorporate. Like we will build to specs, like let's manifest the community, the experience that you specifically want. All of it was born out of, other than, you know, we started a dinner series and decided to do an investor summit, but everything else was a feedback loop. And so to that point, I mean, while we can't wait to get back in person, I'm realizing that, you know, 95% of the business I was doing was over calls. I'm still doing it virtually, but I'm actually doing it over Zoom. And for our business, particularly, we've actually had more opportunities for face-to-face because Zoom has been now more commonly practiced. And it's not as, you know, I think people now assume that they're going to be on Zoom. And that's what people are ready to do. And so on the flip side, like, well,
Hey, Katie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Oh no, they're really stuck. Well, I agree.
I think Zoom is one of the most amazing business tools. I think getting to Zoom directly into my team every morning and get to talk to brands, I think it's meaningful. I think seeing someone's face right now is really meaningful. You feel connected.
I totally agree. You know, I think to me it's interesting to see so many like companies that aren't using, like I've seen people who are like, oh yeah, we haven't really used Zoom. And I'm like, how are you doing that? Or Zoom,
and are you holding up okay over there in your house alone?
I think it's so nice to really get to see the faces of your coworkers and communicate that way. We've also done things like even just happy hours, and you know, I do really want to recreate the water cooler virtually, but I don't know how to do that quite yet.
Soon.
Wait, do you think, by the way, so Katie goes, oh, Zoom's the best tool out there, and then we get kicked off of Zoom for a
I
second.
know, as you're getting
I was
kicked
like,
off.
wait a minute, is it? Wait, sorry about that, guys. See, I mean, it's all talk about vulnerability, authenticity, just showing up and letting it roll, and you know, it's happening. And one last question, because we have actually about 4 minutes. We'll see if we can get to. So another one was, what are some tips you have for successfully promoting a virtual experience? Katie, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So again, utilizing the network of the people involved or the host. I think the reason why Showfields works as a store is because there are 40 different brands speaking to the same consumer, and the noise of 40 brands is larger than the voice of one. It's the same for an online event. Create great content that is easy for your community to share, and really make that part of the ticket and part of getting involved. This event, you guys sent out great content last night, and I was like, I look cute in this photo, I'm gonna post it. So like, that works.
I'm actually going, because we have this event, Showfields, we had the founder made, we had the privilege of actually working with hundreds, if not thousands of brands, right? For the individual brand, Jolene, I'd love to know from you how you're promoting virtual events. Is it through co-marketing? Are you taking different steps to make sure they're successful?
We're partnering with our vendors, we're partnering with our partners. So it's always a co-sponsored event. And the ones that we're doing internally, where they're it's to our audience, we're always making sure that we are promoting it in different platforms. We've had the opportunity to partner with Selfridges, selfridges.com, had us on that homepage. We had the opportunity to partner with many retail stores that had to go online, and they, believe it or not, they have an amazing audience. Maybe the audience wasn't used to shopping online, but because of, we went 5 years ahead with this experience where a lot of people are shopping online.
Right.
All of a sudden, the community is like 5x, 10x just because.
Awesome.
So it's a lot of partnering. Same like what Katie was saying, and Alexandra as well. It's the community.
So on the notion of community, because we have so many listeners and we have 1 more minute, I'd love to just quickly run through what's a way that everyone listening in can get involved with your community leaving this session. Katie, do you want to start?
Sure. If you're in New York, come to the store, please. We'd love to see you. Come support and shop small businesses. They need you this holiday season. It is very meaningful to them. And also subscribe to our newsletter, and then you'll know when all the live shows are coming up.
And you can use the magic wand. Go ahead, Alexandra. Let's go.
Yeah, we are Dame Products across all social media platforms. And also you can go to our website and subscribe to our newsletter, which I think is one of the best ways to stay in the loop.
And if you're in New York, come to our store, but also you could shop at thelaundress.com, and we offer more than just solutions. You also offer a lot of how-to tips.
Amazing.
And a lot of content that you could just lose yourself. And
literally any stain, I end up on that website. It's so true.
It's so good. It's 15 years
So
worth
good.
of data. It's so good.
That is awesome. Final notes, because I know Steven's here to kick us off.
Yeah.
We're so sad to leave, but
That
go ahead.
conversation. No, that was amazing. I
Thank
also can't wait for experiences to come back. And I'm also a huge Harry Potter fan. So all the talk about a magic wand has got me really going. So
are you Griffin?
Well, it should get you going.
yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Please keep the conversation going in Brand Club. I know that there's a lot of other questions that have not been answered as of yet. So if you do have a second, we're going to put your hashtag down in a second, and please keep the conversation going. So amazing job. I really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Steven. Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.